we are back. Week 6 is already gone, and it was okay. I don't think it was the best week of football, but it was still good. You know, right off the rip, the Coastal Carolina Louisiana game was postponed. The Florida Atlantic Southern Miss game was postponed, and there was one other game postponed, I believe. So first game was Thursday night, Tulane at Houston. Tulane, already playing this year. Houston, first game of the year. I thought Tulane would win this game, but Tulane's it's just a weird team right now. They start freshman Michael Pratt, his first start for Tulane, obviously freshman. Tulane's defense, though, got off to a hot start. They forced 2 turnovers on Houston's opening 3 drives. One was from Mason Clark for it was a pick 6, and then there was another fumble recovery. I'm not sure who recovered it, or could have been an interception. I think it was a fumble, I believe, if I remember correctly. The Green Wave led at halftime 24 to 21, but they were up 24-7 at one point. And despite being up 24-21, they were outgained at halftime 268 to 102. So really just weird. But Tulane only had 211 yards of total offense. Houston racked up 476. Yeah. Also, another thing, Houston turned the ball over 5 times. 5 times. And also had 10 penalties for 84 yards. And they still won the game by more than 1 score. I thought Tulane would win. No one really stood out stat-wise. Houston's 5 turnovers, they ended up winning 49-31. I don't know. Next game is UL Monroe at Liberty, and this was a special teams disaster for ULM. They had a punt where the punter literally dropped the ball and went for a touchdown. Then they had a blocked punt go for a touchdown, and then they had a returner return one on them for a touchdown. So special teams, yikes. I thought ULM would be competitive in this game. They weren't. On ULM's ULM first half just says it all. What they did in the first half is atrocious. They literally went punt, interception, punt, turnover on downs, fumble for a touchdown, interception, and a punt. Yikes. They went 1 for 16 on third down. They only totaled 198 yards of total offense and gave up 400. No one stood out. Liberty quarterback, literally no one stood out. The only reason this game was a blowout was special teams, because my player to watch was Liberty quarterback Malik Willis, and even he didn't have a crazy day. He went 11 for 29, 179 yards. Didn't throw for any touchdowns. He threw an interception, and then he had 13 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. So it was a better day rushing for him, but nothing spectacular. Actually, and another player for me to watch was Joshua Mack, their running back, and only had 7 carries for 22 yards. So special teams, ouch on this one. Liberty wins 40-7. Liberty goes and starts 4-0 on the season, and ULM is now 0-5. Probably the worst team in the FBS right now. Next game we'll get into is the shocker. UTSA at BYU. Man, I was expecting this thing not even be close. I think I predicted it 63-14 or something crazy like that. Before this game, BYU is outscoring their opponents 148-24. I thought they were going to continue that, but hard-fought game by UTSA. Really hard-fought game. They both opened the game with a turnover. UTSA, they totaled in 359 yards against a very stingy BYU defense. Side note, Rashad Wisdom got ejected for targeting again. That's second game in a row. Really hurt his team at the end there. Bad time to take a penalty. But BYU totaling 470 yards. Zach Wilson did his thing as I thought he would. 22 for 30, only 8 incompletions, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then, rushing the ball, he had a touchdown, but he only had 6 carries for 19 yards, so nothing crazy there. Tyler Algier had 19 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown, so he stepped it up a bit. And I said the only way UTSA stays in this game is if Sincere McCormick has a day, but he really didn't. He had 11 carries for 42 yards, and they still stayed in the game. So, good on defense, good on their defense. Also, they brought in a different quarterback, Lil Narquise. He went 17 for 20, 229 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he didn't turn the ball over, so he had a good day. BYU improves to 4-0, but UTSA, they put up a good fight, 27-20, so wasn't expecting that. Next game is Texas State at Troy. Not much to really go off here. Troy really owned the game for the most part. The Bobcats were down 30-10 at the end of the third quarter, and it was pretty much done at that point. It was really hard to freaking recover from that. Texas State's defense, they gave up 488 yards and allowed 26 first downs. I believe they only had 15 for themselves. Not quite sure on that. No one stepped up on Texas State's offense. No one had themselves a really good day to really keep up with Troy's offense. The player to watch was Gunnar Watson. He did what he needed to do. 33 out of 46, 338 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Troy wide receiver Kalen Gierger, I could definitely be saying that wrong, but he had 7 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. So he had a good day as well. But Troy's kicker went 1 for 4 and then also missed an extra point. He's got to kind of clean that up a little bit. But at the end of the day, Troy wins 37-17. Next game is Middle Tennessee State at Florida International. And quick note, I did not pick MTSU. They've been having a really bad year. I said if they wanted to win this game, or they wanted to at least stay close, someone on offense needed to step up other than Asher O'Hara. No one really did, but Asher O'Hara got it done. The start of the game looked much like the rest of the season for Middle Tennessee State. The first 3 drives were interception, punt, back to an interception. But then they really got it up, and they scored a touchdown. And then they ended up punting on the next 3 drives. But in those 3 drives that they punted, they also forced FIU to punt. So that was very important. Their defense stepped up right when they needed to. And finally, Asher O'Hara, in the fourth quarter with about 1:40 left, found Jaron Pierce for a touchdown, the go-ahead score. And then MTSU had a game-ending interception. MTSU really moved the ball well, 23 first downs. They only gave up 15, so they moved the ball better than FIU did. As I said, Asher O'Hara, MTSU totaled 400 total yards of offense. Asher O'Hara had 374 yards of those. So that's crazy. He went 23 for 42, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions, but he also carried the ball 23 times for 106 yards and another 2 scores. One thing they did very well is Middle Tennessee State spread the ball very well. They had 4 receivers with 3 or more catches and all had 35 yards or more. They had a receiver have 80, 58, 38, and 37. So good ball distribution from them. Florida International played 3 different quarterbacks. They combined 8 for 21, 58 yards and an interception. Another case of a team playing multiple quarterbacks and it not working. And Florida International's running backs, Sean Patterson Jr. and Devontae Price, combined for 28 carries, 229 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So they did what they needed to do, but their quarterbacks didn't. MTSU finally gets a win. It's their first win of the season, 31-28. Next game is Temple at Navy. Now, I learned to not pick Navy, and I didn't pick Navy, I picked Temple. Well, Navy started off hot, 17 play, 75-yard, 9-minute and 38-second drive for a touchdown to automatically go up 7-0. Temple hung in there, but they were going to score, and they threw an interception at the Navy 16-yard line that really killed the half and momentum for them. And the second half, it kind of went back and forth, and then we get to the end of the game. So Temple is going to score. They use a timeout. I forget for what exactly. And then they're going to go up for a 2-point conversion, and they call another timeout. So now they have no more timeouts, and they're down by 2. And they need to tie the game with the 2-point conversion. So they don't have any more timeouts now. And they come out and they call this stupid pass play. And the quarterback threw it to a guy completely covered that wasn't even in the end zone. So I don't know how you call a timeout and come up with that. But now they have no timeouts left. Now they got to force an onside kick. And then Temple comes out, and they did the most obvious thing ever. And you could tell the kicker was going to do it. They were lining up like they were going to onside kick it to the right, and he ended up kicking it to the left, and Navy recovered it with ease. And so that was pretty much it. Navy went 4 for 4 on 4th downs. Navy rushed for 251 yards. They looked much more like a Navy offense did. They possessed the ball for 35 plus minutes. Temple did total in 407 yards though, so if Navy's defense can clean it up a bit, they could be back. I did say I wouldn't be surprised if Navy didn't win another game the rest of the year, and they already spoiled that. They already played much better, so we'll have to see how the rest of the year goes for them. Freshman quarterback Anthony Russo for Temple went 21 for 30, 260 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But the real story was Navy's fullback Nelson Smith, who had 20 carries for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. And quick shout out to their kicker, Bijan, I could say that wrong, Nichols. He had a 50-yard field goal. I think that tied the record for Navy. Navy wins 31-29. Next game is East Carolina at USF. Right off the bat, we'll talk about it. I said in my preview that they need to clean up the turnovers and maybe force a few turnovers, and they did that. They didn't turn the ball over at all, and they forced 2 turnovers. So already a much better game from them. They played very balanced football. They had 220 yards passing, 210 yards rushing. The Pirates held the ball for 36 minutes almost. That's crazy. Holton Ahlers was my player to watch quarterback for the Pirates. He went 17 for 26, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I'll also talk about a defensive player for East Carolina, Xavier Smith, who had 12 total tackles, 11 solo tackles, 1 sack, and 3 tackles for a loss, so he was important. And we talked about USF's quarterback situation. Jordan McLeod, 26 for 35, 298 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So he may not have scored, but he didn't turn the ball over, which is a much improvement from previously. USF running back Johnny Ford also had 2 rushing touchdowns. East Carolina won relatively easily, 44-24. Next game is UTEP at Louisiana Tech. Good, fun, clean game. Not too much ugly football in this game. UTEP really lost it on their last drive when they fumbled on 3rd down, and Louisiana Tech recovered. UTEP's 2 turnovers in this game really did them in, as well as their 12 penalties for 128 yards. No one stood out statistically on either side. Louisiana Tech got the win 21-17. Next game is Marshall and Western Kentucky. I was expecting Marshall to win this fairly easily, and they pretty much did. Well, they did. I shouldn't say pretty much. Western Kentucky's first half was ugly. Punt, fumble, punt, fumble, and then the end of the first half. So they didn't start the game well. They didn't end the game well. Marshall forced 3 turnovers, and their running back, Brendan Knox, had 15 carries, 107 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Marshall gets the win 38-14. Final game is Charlotte at North Texas. I did not realize Oscar Attaway III was not going to play. I'm not sure when he got hurt. It was an injury. So my big thing with North Texas was their defense, and having a lot of injuries and such. I was worried about how they would fare in this. I did pick North Texas to win, but unfortunately their offense didn't give too much help to their crippled defense. Their offense started very slow, which they couldn't afford in this game. They started out with a missed field goal, then they ended up punting, and then turnover on downs, and they really couldn't afford to start a game like that offensively. They really needed to help their defense and, get some scores on those opening 3 drives. And then towards the end of the first half, Charlotte started pulling away, and that was pretty much history. Charlotte ended up with 599 yards total offense. Chris Reynolds went 15 for 22, 290 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their running back, Aaron McAllister, 12 carries, 140 yards and a touchdown. 4 different Charlotte players had a rushing touchdown. Charlotte ended up winning 49-21. It was a quick week. 2 games got canceled. Really weird week. There wasn't really much to go on. I'd say the best game was the BYU UTSA game. Really thought that game was going to be a blowout. UTSA ended up playing really good football and tough football. Really matched physicality with BYU well. But that's it for week 6. Week 7, hopefully bring a little bit more than week 6, but we'll see. Expect that to be out probably, I'd imagine Wednesday or Thursday actually this week. But that's it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.